Welcome to Detroit's Darkest Times. I want you to subscribe, hit the like button, and the notification bell. Today's topic is the homeless situation in almost every city. I want to discuss the homeless that was in Detroit and when it really got real bad when it first became a big issue in the city. And what had happened is, back in the day, there used to be a thing that the governor started. It was called GA. And GA was General Assistance. And what this was for, single men that was, in between jobs or having trouble finding a job, or maybe got out the pen and got felonies on them, so it's hard to even land a job. But at this particular time, they had a thing called GA, which is General Assistance. And this gave single guys opportunities to have their own apartment or house. And it kept a lot of people in housing and off the streets. And one thing they need to do now is kind of bring that back to each city to clean up the homeless situation, because it's just getting way out of hand. You got people living in the woods, living in the tents, living under viaducts, sleeping on staircases, living, trying to live where the subways are at, and, just staying on a train and stuff like that, and trying to sleep on a train. Just whatever they got to do to, stay warm in the wintertime. The winter thing is really big, because I think about the homeless a lot. And especially in the wintertime, because you just hope they're somewhere where it's warm, because all homeless people, some people gets the wrong idea about homeless people, but all homeless people has a different situation. Some choose to be homeless. Some, got on drugs, and, their family just turned against them, and they ain't got nowhere to go but on the street. And, it's just an addiction that's put them there. And then you got some people that, all their families passed away, and they ain't got nobody to turn to for help. So basically, everybody has a different situation. When you see somebody homeless, you could choose to turn your head and look the other way. You can try to help, and you ain't really got to do hands-on help. Once you see a situation, maybe you can report it and they can get help, and get them off the street, But a lot of times, people see homeless people and they don't really pay no mind, or they just look the other way and they're just glad it's not them. But there's things you can do, if you don't want to hand them money, and if you don't want to do hands-on and, take them food or anything like that, you can always just call and get them some type of help, or at least get somebody to check on them to see, even though they're homeless, they might have, a lot of issues and a lot of problems that, they just think they ain't no help. Some people's out there just think they ain't no help, and everybody just turned their back on them. and they just trying to survive. And then you got people out there that's just acting like they're homeless, and it's just a hustle to get money, you know. So, but really, in every city, they got a lot of homeless going on. And I really think the governor of every city, there's some cities that homeless is against the law. You can't even be homeless. And the only reason that is, I believe, is just so they don't have homeless people in their city, and they just move on somewhere else. But if you're homeless, there's somewhere you gotta stay. And then I'm sure there's a lot of homeless people that get arrested and things like that just so they can go somewhere where they can eat and have somewhere to sleep and all that. But anyways, back to the general assistance in Detroit, Michigan. They had this once upon a time, and the whole city was in pretty good shape. And this general assistance for people, this really helps crime stay down. It helps domestic violence stay down. It keeps people off the street so they ain't forced to commit crimes. Or, some people just get in people's cars and stuff like that to see if they can find things to sell just so they know where their next meal is going to come from. So it's really a bad situation that I really feel like every governor of every state should do something about it. And I really think if they would just get this general assistance going in every state, that and also give people help to the right guidance where they know what to do and all that, they would, people wouldn't be on the street. They would have apartment or house or whatever, trailer, whatever it may be that they can afford to pay. But a lot of people think that general assistance is kind of like a handout, but it really ain't, because if you think about all the money that is given to different countries for war and stuff like that, you should be able to take care of your country before you hand out all that money to other countries for war and stuff like that. So the homeless problem is it's just unacceptable in my eyes. But I really think if they would just get the general assistance going in every city and make it be aware to these people that they can go get it. And, the way it was up in Detroit is like they would let you sign up for general assistance. You can find you an apartment or house or whatever. Find out how much the rent is and everything like that. And then the way they would do it is they would sign you up and they would give you, every 2 weeks, you would get a check to spend for your personal needs. And then every month, they would send the landlord had to fill out a paper and they would send him his rent money. And then they would give you food stamps for groceries. And that really helped a lot of people back in the day. And I believe they need this thing going again. And, it's just my personal opinion, but, somebody's got to start somewhere to get the homeless thing straightened out, because it's just getting way out of hand. And then, I know in Detroit that there was a lot of people actually died in the wintertime because it was just so cold. If they couldn't get inside an apartment building or actually they would actually get in people's cars, whatever. But if they wasn't able to get in nowhere and they had to be out on the streets, they would actually freeze to death and die. And you don't hear a lot about that, but this happens a lot. And there's only certain things you hear about, and then certain things you don't. But you just gotta, figure if you're outside all night long and it's, in the teens or 0 or -0, you're just not going to be able to survive that. And then, a lot of people used to get on city buses and just ride the bus constantly because at least they had heat and they was able to sleep. And some bus drivers wouldn't say anything to them because they knew that they was homeless. But anyways, if they would get this general assistance program going in every city, and I believe it would really help the homeless situation. And that would be like the check would pay your rent, your lights. Some places have lights and gas. It would pay your rent, your lights, and your gas. And then every 2 weeks, they give you a check for just your personal needs. And then, if you was just a single person, man or woman, you get, like $350 in food stamps a month. And then if you had another individual with you, because sometimes, people would be like roommates and they wouldn't be a couple or anything. It'd just be roommates. And then that extra roommate would get another $350 in food stamps and things like that. But it really worked out because then people had a place to live. They had food. They had no reason to get out stealing stuff, and things like that. But when you got a ton of people on the street and they don't know where their next meal is coming from, and they don't know where they're going to sleep, you just got to put yourself in that position and say, well, if I was in that position, what would I do? You'd probably do anything to survive, basically, just like anybody else. So really, I think they need to get a grip on this homeless thing. In some cities, it's just really, really way out of hand, and in some just, it's still bad, and a lot of people just want to look the other way, they don't really want to, you ain't really got to do hands-on, or you ain't really got to give them money. If you feel like they're going to use the money for something else, go get them something from McDonald's and just hand it to them out the window, and if you don't want to do that, at least report it, and just way they would be aware of what area the homeless people's in. And I'm sure there's people out there that would, that goes around helping homeless people and stuff like that. I know I've helped many of people in my time. And, I've done a lot of things, not just for homeless. I gave cars away. I paid people's light bills. I paid water bills for people. I bought food for people. I've been in the grocery store line and paid for people's food when their card wouldn't work or whatever. And, if I can do it, I'll do it. That's the way I am. If I got it and I can help, I'm going to help. And then some people say, well, that's just a soft-hearted person or whatever. Call it what you will, but I just know that if you help somebody, even if it's just buying them a cup of coffee, if you help somebody, it'll come back to you one way or another. And just think, if we all helped each other all the time, just think how good a shape everybody'd be in, But there's a lot of people that's just selfish and they just want, you know, they just want everything for themselves, and they're not thinking about the next person. And and these people pay dearly down the line, anyways, because even though they have plenty of money and they're doing really well, most of them are unhappy, or karma comes back to them because they're so wealthy and got so much money, and they know that right down the street is some homeless people that they would never bother to give food to, money to, or try to help. And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but I am saying there's a lot of people that's just selfish and they just don't really care to help the next person. And you can just help whenever you can. It ain't like you got to feel obligated to help. Just whenever you're able to do something for somebody, help them. And then there's some people, some families just help their family only, and that's okay too. But after you help your family so much, they need to try to help themselves too. You can't just keep helping, and they're not trying to do anything for themselves. So but I hope whoever's listening to this thinks about the homeless people. And like I said, a lot of people don't want to interact with nobody, and like I said, that's fine too. But at least when you see a homeless situation going around in your neighborhood or something like that, at least report it, and maybe the right people can step in and help these people out. And then those of you that like to help, like I said, if you don't want to give money, just go through a drive-through and grab something and just hand it to them, because you never know. It could have been 2 or 3 days before they last ate something, and that yourself, you're not going to have to worry about 2 or 3 days going without food. So just keep that in mind, and try to help each other, basically. And but I would really like if the each state would do something like that, like the General Assistance Program and stuff. They had it in Detroit years ago, and the governor of that time canceled the GA, which was General Assistance, and it put a ton of people on the streets. So what happens after that? Crime goes up, domestic violence goes up, all types of things happen due to people being homeless. And people don't really think about that. They just think, well, they're homeless because that's the way they chose to live, or they're homeless because they made bad choices in life. Everybody's got a different story. And if you would just, a lot of people wouldn't do it, but if you would just take the time to stop every once in a while and talk to a homeless person and just see what their condition is and see why they ended up being homeless, you'll be really surprised, But, I feel like if anybody can help, we can help one another in little ways if we can. But if anybody can help, our governor of each state should be able to help and get this homeless thing straightened out. Because if we got money to give out to other countries, and a lot of money they just piss away on stuff that's uncalled for. And I really feel like if they would just step in and get this general assistance going and food stamps going for people, you'd see a big difference in every state, and you'd see that the crime would drop, and you'd see a lot of stuff happen that But you just gotta ask yourself, if you was homeless and you didn't know where your next meal was coming from, or didn't know where you was gonna sleep, you know, you're forced to do whatever you need to do to survive. And you definitely want to try to stay alive, you know. And then a lot of homeless people, you can only imagine what they're thinking. They're probably thinking, you know, is it even worth it to keep going? But hopefully, you know, they can hang in there and get some help from each state. But anyways, back in the day when the governor cut off general assistance in Michigan, it put a lot of people on the street, and it was homeless down Cass Avenue, and they was just on the sidewalk. I mean, literally, it was just really bad. And there were some people, not a lot, but just some people would ride through there, and they would ask the guys, what did they know how to do, if they knew how to fix a roof or do some plumbing or whatever. And if they did, they would give them a job to, so they can make them a little money and stuff like that. And some people even took people off the street and took them in and just put them to work and took them in, and so they wouldn't even be homeless. But a lot of, just a few people did that when you had an enormous amount of people that ended up being homeless. But I really feel like that's what they need to do. And if they did that, I really feel like it would make a big difference because, you got to figure a lot of homeless people, they'll stand outside in the rain or in the cold or, all day long with a sign asking for help. So the way I look at it, if you're going to stand out in the rain or stand out in the cold with a sign, that is a job. A lot of people say, well, you need to go find a job. That is a job. And they probably make more money doing that than if they did go get a job. But, that's just my thought on it. But, you know, I just think the homeless thing needs to get straightened out. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that way. I'm sure there's a lot of people. And I only wish I had the authority to, just be in charge of the homeless people and had, backing and money to do what I wanted to do. There wouldn't be one homeless person out on the street. Then I'd also have in each city, I would have a place, something like a temporary service, but a place where you could go and you're not obligated to work 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week. You could work day, and at the end of the day, you get paid each day. Because some people, they just they can work certain days, some days they can't because whatever illness they have or handicaps they have or whatever. But even if they could work a day or 2 or 3 days a week or something like that, they had this this thing here in Michigan too, where it was like a day labor, where it's a temporary service, but after you got done doing your job, you go back to the temporary service and they'll cut you a check for working that day. So you weren't obligated to work every day, but some people would go every day, but you get paid every day. And if they had this in every city, this would make a world of difference too, and because it just would make a difference for somebody to get paid every day, because some people, if they got a job, they're in such a hard position that it's almost impossible for them to go 2 weeks and show up for work every day when they ain't got no money or nothing like that. And it's almost impossible to do that. So if they had a day labor that paid people daily, this would make a world of difference. In each city, they need this. They need it in each state, but in each city, they need this. And but these are my thoughts on the homeless situation, and I really feel like that, you know, if each state would just step up to the plate and do the things I'm talking about, would make everybody's life a lot better. Not only just the homeless people, even the working people, even the retired people. It would make everybody's life good. And but I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Keep that in mind. I hope all is well for everybody. And if you can, help somebody out when you get a chance. And that's it for this video. Be looking for my next one. I'm out. Peace.